Commander Olivia Martinez sat in her office at the Earth Defense Force headquarters when the communication screen lit up. The blue-skinned Arcturus ambassador appeared, his 4 eyes blinking in what humans had learned was a sign of discomfort. "Commander Martinez, I bring a decree from the Galactic Council," said Ambassador Vrel. His translator device gave his words a metallic quality, effective immediately. All humans are banned from participation in any and all galactic conflicts. Olivia stared at the screen. She wondered if she had heard correctly. "Ambassador, could you repeat that?" she asked, her coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips. "The ban is complete and permanent," continued Vrel as if he hadn't heard her. "By unanimous vote of all 27 member species, humanity is forbidden from engaging in warfare beyond your solar system. Any violation will result in severe penalties for your entire planet." Olivia set down her cup. "On what grounds? We've barely left our solar system. We've only been in one minor skirmish with the Centauri." The ambassador's skin shifted to a deeper blue. "The Council does not need to explain its decisions. The vote was unanimous. That is all." The screen went dark. Within an hour, Olivia stood in the United Earth Government Emergency Chamber. Representatives from every continent argued loudly. Secretary General Paul Baker tried to maintain order. "We demand an explanation," shouted the African Union representative. "Humanity has done nothing to deserve this." The Asian Alliance delegate nodded. "We've been nothing but peaceful since first contact 15 years ago. This makes no sense." Olivia watched from her position near the wall. She had reviewed the Centauri incident files 3 times since the call. 6 Earth ships had engaged with Centauri vessels in a dispute over mining rights near Jupiter's outer moons. The conflict lasted less than 20 minutes. 2 Centauri ships damaged, 1 Earth vessel with minor hull breaches. No deaths on either side. Secretary Baker called for quiet. "Commander Martinez, your assessment." All eyes turned to her. Olivia stepped forward. "The ban is strange, sir. Our species is new to the galactic community. We've had minimal military engagement. The Centauri incident was resolved quickly and with restraint on both sides." "Could they fear what we might do?" asked the European representative. "Rather than what we have done." Olivia considered this. Possibly. But what would make 27 different alien species all agree we're that dangerous? An aide rushed in and handed Baker a tablet. His face grew pale as he read. "The Galactic Council has reinforced their ban," he announced. "They've positioned monitoring stations at the edge of our solar system. Any armed human vessel that attempts to leave will be destroyed." The room erupted again. Later that night, Olivia stood at the window of her apartment, looking at the stars. Her phone buzzed with another message from General Richards asking for strategy recommendations. She ignored it. The stars looked different to her now. Not inviting, but warning. Out there, 27 species had decided that humans were too dangerous to fight alongside them. Not too weak, not too primitive, too dangerous. Olivia remembered her grandfather's stories about Earth wars, about human determination, about fighting to the last person, about nuclear weapons and biological warfare, about guerrilla tactics and psychological operations. Maybe the aliens had studied our history. Maybe they saw something in us that we couldn't see in ourselves. "What are you afraid of?" she whispered to the distant stars. "What do you think we would do?" Olivia didn't know why humans were banned from galactic wars. But a small part of her, a part she didn't want to acknowledge, wasn't sure she wanted to find out. The ban remained in place. Humanity protested, argued, and eventually accepted their strange isolation from galactic conflicts. Years passed, and the stars grew quiet. Ambassador Daniel Wright adjusted his tie as he stared out the window of Observation Post Alpha, orbiting Jupiter. At 68, he was one of the few diplomats who remembered the day of the ban. Now, with silver hair and tired eyes, he represented humanity to a galaxy that kept them at arm's length. The alert sounded without warning. The screen on his wall flashed red. "Ambassador, Urgent transmission from the Galactic Council, said his assistant. Daniel sighed. Council messages were rare these days. Put it through. The face that appeared wasn't the usual council messenger. It was Krillax himself, the High Elder of the Voltar species and senior council member. His scaled face looked worn, almost sickly. Ambassador Wright, said Krillax, his voice shaking. I break protocol to speak with you directly. Daniel stepped closer to the screen. Elder Krillax, this is unexpected. We face extinction, Ambassador. The Void Swarm has crossed the rim. Daniel felt a chill. The Void Swarm. Earth intelligence had picked up rumors, but nothing confirmed. What is the Void Swarm? He asked carefully. A hive mind species. They consume everything in their path. They've destroyed 8 star systems in 6 months. The Galactic Defense Fleet has failed to stop them. Krillax's scales rippled with distress. We are falling, Ambassador. One by one, our worlds are going dark. Daniel struggled to process this. Why tell me? Humans are banned from your wars, remember? Krillax's 4 eyes blinked slowly. That is why I contact you now. The Council has voted. We ask for human help. The words hung in the air between them. You banned us, Daniel said. For 50 years, we've been treated as too dangerous to fight alongside you. Now you want our help. Yes, the alien's voice was quiet. We need what we feared. 3 days later, Daniel stood before the United Earth Government Council. The chamber was packed with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. The recorded message from Krillax played on the main screen. When it ended, silence filled the room. General Sophia Adams, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense, spoke first. They're desperate. The Void Swarm must be worse than they're telling us. Do we even have the capability to help? Asked the African Union president. We focused on our own system for 50 years. General Adams nodded. We've continued military development. Our ships are smaller than theirs, but faster. Our weapons are different. We never stopped preparing, just in case. Daniel looked around the room. They fear us. They've always feared us. The question is, do we help the people who rejected us? An older woman stood up. Admiral Samantha Cole, the most decorated officer in Earth's history. We help, she said simply, not because they deserve it, because we're human. The vote was unanimous. 2 weeks later, Daniel watched from the observation deck as Earth's fleet assembled near Mars. 100 ships, small by galactic standards but built with human ingenuity. Each vessel was commanded by officers trained in warfare the galaxy had never seen. Admiral Cole's flagship, the Resilience, moved into position. Daniel's communication device beeped. Ambassador, said Cole's voice, the Luna Strategic Command is ready. Our top minds have been analyzing what little data we have on the Void Swarm. And, asked Daniel, they have weaknesses. They think as one. They'd follow patterns. They've never encountered humanity. He could hear the grim smile in her voice. They're about to learn why we were banned. As the fleet prepared to depart, Daniel received one final message from Krillax. Ambassador, said the alien, the Council asks what assurances we have that humans will follow galactic combat protocols. Daniel looked at the alien for a long moment before answering. None, he said. You didn't ask for our help because we follow your rules. You asked because we don't. The screen went dark as Earth's fleet jumped to light speed, heading toward a war humanity was never supposed to fight. The Luna Strategic Command Center buzzed with activity. Officers moved between stations with purpose. Screens displayed star charts, enemy movements, and battle plans. At the center of it all stood Admiral Samantha Cole, her gray hair pulled back tightly, her eyes focused on the main display. Show me the Void Swarm movements again, she ordered. Lieutenant William Garcia, a tactical specialist, stepped forward. The swarm moves like this. Admiral, he said, gesturing at the screen. They always follow the same pattern. They surround, They close in, they consume. Like an ordinary swarm, Samantha said. Predictable. Yes, but effective, William replied. The galactic fleet fights in formation. Swarm tactics overwhelmed them. In the corner of the room, 3 aliens watched. They wore the formal robes of the Galactic Council. Their faces showed confusion as they observed the humans at work. Samantha approached a different station, where engineer Sophia Johnson worked on weapon designs. Show me what you've got, Samantha said. Sophia pulled up diagrams on her screen. The Void Swarm has a shared biology. They communicate through electromagnetic pulses. We can disrupt that. She pointed to a device. This will scramble their signals. Not weapons as the Council understands them, but effective. The alien observers whispered among themselves. At the far end of the room, tactician Alan Rodriguez called for attention. I've analyzed the swarm's behavior. They're a hive mind. But that's a weakness. He displayed a simulation. If we attack here, here, and here simultaneously, they'll be forced to split their attention. They don't handle chaos well. One of the alien observers, Zeal, stepped forward. This is not proper warfare, he said. The Galactic Code of Conflict requires declared battle lines and formal engagement. The room went quiet. Samantha turned to face the alien. With respect, Zeal, how well has the Galactic Code worked against the swarm? Zeal's skin flushed a deep purple. We have lost 9 systems. Then perhaps it's time for something new, Samantha said. She turned back to her team. Continue. Over the next 3 days, the command center transformed. Walls became covered with plans unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Humans worked in shifts, building on each other's ideas. Captain Joe Lewis presented a plan to fight in asteroid fields, using the rocks as weapons and shields. Major Grace Miller suggested deploying soldiers in environments the swarm considered deadly. Dr. Ben Parker developed biological agents that would target the swarm's unique biology. On the 4th day, Samantha presented the complete battle plan to the Council observers. This is what we'll do, she said, pointing to the display. Small, fast ships. Hit and run attacks. Psychological warfare against their hive mind. Unconventional weapons. Fighting in environments they consider impossible. Zeal examined the plans with growing alarm. This is not war as we know it. There are no lines of battle. No formal engagements. Exactly, Samantha replied. The swarm wins because they know how the galaxy fights. They've never faced humans. The second observer, Krell, moved closer to the display. You would send soldiers into radiation zones, use civilian vessels as decoys, deploy biological agents. To win, Samantha said simply. Yes. The third observer, Vrex, who had remained silent until now, spoke. Now I understand the ban, he said quietly. You do not fight to win battles. You fight to win wars. At any cost. Samantha looked at the alien. We fight to survive. And to protect others. That evening, William found Samantha staring at the Earth through the observation window. The fleet is ready, Admiral, he said. All ships report battle-ready status. Good, she replied without turning. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy why they feared us. And perhaps, William added, why they need us. Samantha nodded as the blue planet rotated slowly below them. Humanity was going to war. Not as the galaxy expected them to fight, but as humans had always fought, with creativity, adaptability, and a determination that frightened even themselves. Captain Natalie Foster stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance. The ship was small by galactic standards, but fast and heavily armed. Through the view screen, she watched the stars of the Epsilon system shine against the darkness of space. Status report, Natalie ordered. Her first officer, Jack Hayes, checked his console. All systems normal, Captain. We're maintaining position at the edge of the system. No sign of the Void Swarm yet. Natalie nodded. The Defiance was on a reconnaissance mission. Their orders were simple. Observe the swarm, gather data, and return. Do not engage. The ship carried 2 galactic observers who watched the human crew with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Captain," called out the sensor officer, "I'm detecting movement at the edge of the system." Natalie moved to the sensor station. "Show me." The screen displayed multiple objects entering the system. They moved in perfect formation, their biosignatures identical. The void swarm had arrived. "How many?" Natalie asked. 27 vessels, Captain. Their current trajectory will bring them directly to us in 17 minutes. One of the galactic observers, a tall, thin alien named Jex, stepped forward. "Captain Foster, Galactic Protocol dictates immediate retreat when outnumbered 3-1. Natalie considered this. "How fast are their ships?" "Slower than ours," Jack replied. "But they'll catch us if we try to reach the jump point." The second observer, Mal, pointed to the star map. "The only option is to surrender according to Galactic War conventions. They will allow your crew to." "No," Natalie interrupted. "We're not surrendering, and we're not running to the jump point." She moved to the navigation console and pointed to a dense asteroid field nearby. "We're going in there." Jex's eyes widened. "That's suicidal. No ship can navigate that safely." Natalie smiled. "Watch us." She turned to her crew. "Battle stations. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The Defiant sped toward the asteroid field as the swarm ships adjusted course to pursue. The human crew worked with practiced precision, their movements quick and confident. As they entered the field, Natalie gave rapid orders. "Stay close to the larger asteroids. Use them for cover. Weapons, target any asteroid smaller than 50 meters that gets in our way." The ship wove through the field, blasting smaller rocks to clear paths when needed. Behind them, 3 swarm vessels followed. "They're copying our trajectory exactly," Jack observed. "Perfect," Natalie said. "Reverse thrusters on my mark." She watched her display carefully. Mark. The Defiance suddenly slowed. The closest swarm ship, unable to react in time, shot past them and collided with a massive asteroid. The explosion lit up the field. "Now target the debris," Natalie ordered. The Defiance's weapons fired at the floating remains of the asteroid. The chunks flew toward the other pursuing ships. One took heavy damage. The other veered away, only to collide with another asteroid. Jex and Mal watched in stunned silence. "Continue through the field," Natalie ordered. "Let's find a place to hide and observe the remaining swarm ships." 3 hours later, the Defiance emerged from the asteroid field on the far side of the system. The remaining swarm vessels searched the area where they had entered, unable to track the human ship through the field. "Set course for the rendezvous point," Natalie said. "Prepare full report for Admiral Cole." As the Defiance jumped to light speed, Jex approached Natalie. "That was not proper warfare," the alien said. "You used the environment as a weapon. You tricked them into destroying themselves." Natalie looked at the observer. "We survived. We gathered intelligence. We destroyed 3 enemy vessels without firing a shot. The Galactic Code of War has existed for 10,000 years, Jex insisted. "And the Void Swarm is winning against it," Natalie replied. "Sometimes survival requires new ways of fighting." As the Defiance raced home, reports of its encounter spread through the galactic fleet. For the first time since the swarm appeared, something had successfully fought back, and the galaxy watched with a mixture of hope and fear as humanity entered the war. News of the Defiance's success spread quickly. Within days, human forces joined battles across the galaxy. The Void Swarm, which had moved unchallenged for months, suddenly faced resistance it could not predict. In the Proxima system, Major Frank Wilson led a squad of Earth soldiers into the toxic atmosphere of a moon the swarm had claimed. The aliens considered the environment uninhabitable, with its methane atmosphere and extreme temperatures. They had no defenses there. "Suits sealed and functional," Frank reported as his team moved through the thick orange fog. "Target in sight." The soldiers wore specialized environmental suits developed for mining operations on Venus. They approached the swarm's communication hub, a massive organic structure that pulsed with blue light. "They don't even have guards here," said Sergeant Kelly Brown. "They never expected anyone could survive in this." Frank nodded. "Place the devices as planned. We have 15 minutes before our suits reach their limits." The team placed small disruptors around the structure. These devices, designed by Earth scientists, would send conflicting signals into the swarm's hive mind. When activated, the effects were immediate. Across the system, swarm ships began moving erratically. Some fired on each other, others drifted aimlessly. The hive mind, confused by contradictory commands, could not coordinate its forces. The Galactic Fleet, led by Admiral Vrex, watched in amazement. "Impossible," Vrex said on the command deck of his ship. "No species can function in that environment." His second-in-command checked the sensors. "The humans are already gone, Admiral. Their shuttle left the moon 3 minutes ago." Vrex's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "Make note of this tactic. It must be studied." On the medical ship Hope, Dr. Lisa Clark worked with a team of scientists. They had captured small samples of the Void Swarm's biological material. "The swarm shares a common genetic structure," Lisa explained to the Galactic Medical Council. "That makes them vulnerable." An alien doctor named Zell examined the samples. "We tried conventional weapons. They adapt too quickly." Lisa smiled. "We're not using conventional weapons." She displayed a hologram of a modified bacteria. "This targets their specific biology. It won't harm any galactic species." "You created a biological weapon." Zell stepped back in alarm. "The galactic conventions forbid such things." "We call it a targeted treatment," Lisa replied calmly. "And it might save billions of lives." 2 weeks later, during a major battle in the Sirius system, Commander Ryan Lewis demonstrated another human tactic. His ship, the Relentless, had been fighting continuously for 72 hours. The crew worked in shifts, never stopping. The galactic vessels had withdrawn to rest their crews after 24 hours, as was standard practice. Only the human ships remained engaged. "How are they still fighting?" asked Galactic Commander Krell. "No species can function effectively without proper rest cycles." Ryan's second-in-command, Linda Harris, passed out stimulant pills to the bridge crew. "4 more hours," she said. "Then you can sleep for 6. Ryan nodded, his eyes red from exhaustion. "The swarm is retreating. They didn't expect us to keep fighting." By the end of the month, reports from across the galaxy told the same story. Human forces used environments others considered impossible. They deployed weapons others considered unethical. They fought when others would rest. They sacrificed individual ships to win larger victories. And the Void Swarm, for the first time, began to retreat. In a secure meeting room on the Galactic Council's main world, the leaders gathered to discuss the human problem. "They're effective," admitted High Elder Krillax. "The swarm has lost 20% of its territory." "But at what cost?" asked Counselor Jex. "Humans ignore our conventions. They fight in ways we abandoned millennia ago." Elder Vexor, the oldest member of the council, looked troubled. "Their methods remind me of historical records, of the Krell." The room went silent. No one had spoken that name in thousands of years. "Are we witnessing history repeat itself?" asked Krillax softly. "Perhaps," said Vexor. "But this time, we may need it too." Admiral Samantha Cole sat at the head of the long table in the central meeting room of the Galactic headquarters. Around her were the top military leaders from Earth and various alien species. The mood was tense despite recent victories against the Void Swarm. "The latest reports confirm the swarm has pulled back from 3 more systems," Samantha said. "Our combined tactics are working." The alien commanders nodded, but without enthusiasm. Krillax, who represented the Galactic Council, looked troubled. "Something bothers you," Samantha said to them. "Speak freely." Krillax hesitated. "Your methods are effective, Admiral, but they disturb many of our people. The use of environmental warfare, biological agents, and psychological attacks. He trailed off. "They're saving lives," Samantha replied. "Isn't that what matters?" Before Krillax could answer, the doors opened. An ancient alien entered, supported by a walking staff. His skin was pale blue, wrinkled with extreme age. The alien commanders immediately stood in respect. "Historian Vexor," Krillax said with surprise. "We did not expect you." Vexor moved slowly to the table. "I came because it is time for truth." He looked directly at Samantha. "Humans should know why they were banned." The room went silent. Samantha leaned forward. "We've wondered for 50 years. Vexor nodded. 5,000 years ago, another species joined the galactic community. They were called the Krell. He activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed bipedal aliens with 4 arms and ridged foreheads. The Krell were brilliant, adaptive, and creative. Vexor continued. Like humans, they had evolved on a harsh world. They had fought their own wars. They understood conflict in ways we did not. The display changed to show ancient battles, warships using tactics similar to those humans now employed. When the Krell joined their first galactic war, they changed everything, Vexor said. They did not follow our rules of engagement. They used environments as weapons. They developed targeted biological agents. They fought with a determination that shocked us. Samantha's eyes narrowed. They sound like us. Yes, Vexor agreed. Very much like humans. At first, we welcomed their help. They were effective allies. The historian's voice grew softer. Then the Krell faced a species that threatened their homeworld. In desperation, they developed weapons we had never imagined. Planet killers. They used them without hesitation. The display showed a planet breaking apart, turning to dust. 12 star systems were rendered uninhabitable, Vexor said. Trillions died, including most of the Krell themselves. The galaxy nearly collapsed into chaos. He turned off the display and looked at the stunned human officers. When we discovered Earth, we saw the same markers. Your history of warfare, your adaptability, your willingness to do whatever necessary to survive. The Council voted unanimously to ban humans from galactic conflicts as a preventive measure. Samantha stood slowly. You feared we would become the next Krell. Yes, Vexor admitted. The ban was not punishment. It was fear. The room was quiet as everyone absorbed this revelation. Finally, Lieutenant William Garcia spoke. With respect, historian, the Krell are not humans. We fought the swarm without destroying planets. So far, Krillax said. But what happens if you begin to lose? If Earth itself is threatened? What would humans do then? Samantha looked around the table at her fellow officers, then back to Vexor. I can't promise what every human would do in desperation, she said honestly. But I can tell you this, we understand the responsibility that comes with power. We've had planet-killing weapons on Earth for centuries. We've never used them. Vexor studied her face. The Krell said similar things, Admiral. Then judge us by what we do, not what you fear we might do, Samantha replied. Right now, we're saving your worlds, not destroying them. As the meeting continued, the revelation hung in the air. Humans now understood why they had been banned. And the galaxy watched nervously as humanity fought a war in ways that echoed a catastrophic past, hoping history would not repeat itself. The warning came 3 days after the meeting with historian Vexor. The Void Swarm, pushed back across multiple fronts, had gathered its forces for one massive assault on the Galactic Council homeworld of Arcturus Prime. It was a desperate move, but a clever one. If the heart of galactic civilization fell, resistance would crumble. Admiral Samantha Cole stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable as the emergency transmission played. The Galactic Defense Fleet was already engaged, but losing ground rapidly. The swarm had committed everything to this attack. All available ships are ordered to Arcturus Prime, Samantha announced to her officers. This is the moment that decides the war. The human fleet, spread across a dozen systems, quickly changed course. Ships that had been using guerrilla tactics against the swarm now formed into a unified attack force. But even as they traveled at maximum speed, reports from Arcturus grew worse. "Outer defenses have fallen," reported Communications Officer Peter Carter. "The Galactic Fleet is taking heavy losses." Samantha studied the tactical display. The swarm had surrounded the planet in a sphere formation, their ships moving in perfect coordination. It was their most organized attack yet. "They're adapting to our tactics," she said. "We need something they haven't seen before." The human fleet arrived at the edge of the Arcturus system. Through the view screens, they could see the battle raging. Galactic ships fought bravely, but were being overwhelmed by the sheer number of swarm vessels. "All ships, this is Admiral Cole," Samantha broadcast. "Execute Plan Omega." The human fleet split into 3 groups. The first, led by Captain Natalie Foster, approached from below the plane of battle, using the system's asteroid belt for cover. The second, under Commander Ryan Lewis, moved to the far side of Arcturus Prime's moon, hiding from swarm sensors. The main force, with Samantha aboard the Indomitable, headed directly toward the fight. But as they approached, Samantha gave an order that shocked the galactic observers on her bridge. "Bring the mining vessels forward." A dozen large ships moved to the front of the formation. They were not warships but commercial mining vessels, equipped with powerful cutting beams designed to break apart asteroids. "What are you doing?" asked Krell, who had joined her for the battle. "Those are civilian ships." "Not today," Samantha replied. As they closed with the enemy, the mining vessels activated their cutting beams. The intense energy beams, never designed for combat, sliced through the swarm's biological ships with surprising effectiveness. The enemy, adapted to defend against conventional weapons, had no protection against these industrial tools. Simultaneously, the communications team broadcast on all frequencies. The signal, designed by Earth scientists, mimicked the swarm's own communication patterns, but filled with contradictory commands. The hive mind, already strained by coordinating such a large attack, began to fragment. From beneath, Natalie's group launched asteroids propelled by small engines directly into the swarm formation. From behind the moon, Ryan's forces attacked the now confused enemy rear. The swarm sphere began to break apart. On the ground, Colonel Patricia Mitchell led human soldiers alongside galactic warriors. The humans fought in ways that stunned even veteran alien fighters. They used the environment, set traps, employed misdirection, and fought with a ferocity that seemed impossible to maintain. "They don't stop," said a galactic soldier to his commander. "Even when injured, they keep fighting." The battle raged for 14 hours. Human ships took heavy damage. Many were lost, but they kept fighting, using tactics the swarm could not predict or counter. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. Their perfect formation had collapsed into chaos. Their hive mind, bombarded with conflicting signals, could no longer coordinate effectively. As the last swarm ships fled the system, cheers erupted across the human fleet. They had saved the galactic capital. But the cost had been high. Nearly a third of Earth's ships were destroyed or heavily damaged. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Krell approached Samantha. "You broke every rule of warfare we have," he said quietly, "and you saved my world." Samantha looked out at the stars, her face showing the weight of those they had lost. "That's what humans do," she replied. "Whatever it takes." 1 month after the Battle of Arcturus Prime, the Galactic Council chamber was fuller than it had been in centuries. Representatives from all 27 member species sat in their traditional places. For the first time, a human delegation led by Ambassador Daniel Wright had been invited to attend. The Void Swarm had retreated to the Outer Rim. After their defeat at Arcturus, their forces had broken apart. Some fled beyond known space. Others fought among themselves as their hive mind fractured. The war wasn't over, but the immediate threat had passed. High Elder Krell stood to address the gathering. We face a question today that will shape our future, he said. The ban on human participation in galactic conflicts was enacted out of fear of what humanity might become. Murmurs filled the chamber. Krillax raised his hand for silence. That fear was not unfounded, he continued. We have now seen humans at war. They fight in ways we abandoned millennia ago. They use environments, biology, psychology as weapons. They adapt. They improvise. They never surrender. Daniel Wright sat calmly, watching the reactions of the various species. Some nodded. Others looked troubled. But Krillax said, we have also seen humans show restraint. They developed weapons they did not use. They had opportunities for greater destruction they did not take. And most importantly, they fought not for conquest, but to protect others. Elder Vexor slowly stood, leaning on his staff. The question before us is whether to maintain the ban on human participation in galactic conflicts. Daniel rose from his seat. If I may address the council. Vexor nodded, and Daniel stepped to the center of the chamber. 50 years ago, you banned us because you feared what we might become, Daniel said. You compared us to the Krell, who destroyed worlds when threatened. You looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various species. But there is a difference between humans and the Krell. We have lived with the power to destroy ourselves for centuries. We have faced extinction-level threats, yet we survived without destroying our world. Daniel paused, his voice softening. Humans understand violence because we have seen its cost. We know war because we have fought so many. And that is precisely why we value peace so highly. Council Elder Zunthar, who had been silent until now, spoke. Now we understand why humans were banned from our wars. Not because they would lose, but because they would win. At any cost, by any means. The chamber went quiet. And in understanding this, Zunthar continued, we also understand that we need them. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The ban was lifted, but with conditions. Humans would be allowed to participate in galactic conflicts, but would also help reshape galactic war doctrine. They would teach what they knew, not just about how to fight, but when not to. Later, on the observation deck overlooking the council world, Admiral Samantha Cole stood with Daniel Wright, watching the sunset. So we're no longer too dangerous to fight alongside them, Samantha said. Daniel smiled slightly. No, they've decided we're too dangerous not to have on their side. What happens now? She asked. We help them prepare, Daniel replied. The Void Swarm may return. Other threats may emerge. But more importantly, we teach them something they've forgotten after 10,000 years of ritualized warfare. What's that? That the purpose of understanding war is to preserve peace, Daniel said. That's the real human lesson. As night fell over the galactic capital, ships from Earth and 27 other worlds patrolled together. The galaxy now understood why humans had been banned from their wars. And in understanding, they had found not just powerful allies, but a new way forward. Humanity's capacity for violence had frightened them, but humanity's choice to use that capacity with restraint had earned their respect. The species that had been banned for its potential for destruction was now valued for its commitment to protection. The ban was over. A new era had begun.